good morning to you guys here. Happy Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. And once again, guys, we've got the threat for severe weather again today here for Thursday. As if we've not had enough here in the plains. We've got significant severe weather potentially on the way, possibly even a tornado outbreak going into next week, early next Monday and Tuesday. We're going to talk about that here in depth. We're going to talk about just in general the next 3 to 4 days, what we're going to see leading up to that event here. We've probably got one of our biggest slight risk zones we've seen so far this week at play for today. And most of this is going to be a hail and wind event today with an occasional isolated tornado or two that will be possible. So we're going to break all that down here. I will mention we've got a lot of thunderstorm activity ongoing this morning here, basically from the northern plains all the way down to the southern plains here, back here into portions of Tennessee and Kentucky, western and central North Carolina, and then in a complex moving down here into portions of eastern Louisiana. I do want to mention this little complex of storms that's moving here from Oklahoma into Texas may intensify this afternoon here. We'll have to see if the Storm Prediction Center upgrades to a slight risk or if they extend that marginal risk down due to cover that wind threat. But there will be an MCS that's going to continue to maybe intensify as it works its way closer and closer to the Texas-Louisiana coastline this afternoon. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. We're going to talk about everything in depth here. Majority of the central plains here undergoing some rain, some severe potential here this morning through this afternoon. Most of this should fall apart. You're starting to see some of that moisture start to already fall apart here going into Kansas and Nebraska, and we should start to see a dry line setup later on this afternoon for a severe weather threat. So we're going to talk about that, kind of go in depth on everything. We'll get you guys out the door for today. We will probably have a live stream later on tonight. I don't plan on being in coverage mode today unless we just need to be, but I'll keep you guys updated on that. We'll kind of go from there, and we'll get you guys going here. But other than that, if you guys, as always, will hit that subscribe button down there at the bottom of your screen, I do appreciate it. Also, leave a comment if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and we will get you guys right to that. All right, and we're going to start out today with the Storm Prediction Center outlook that we've got here. This is probably going to update here in about an hour as well, so just kind of be mindful of that. We'll see some of these colors change later on. We've got a marginal risk here in Iowa that goes all the way down to Texas, portions of eastern, southeastern Wyoming, and Colorado here down to Texas, into Oklahoma and Kansas, and into Nebraska. Slight risk that goes from eastern Colorado back down into southwestern Kansas, western portions of Oklahoma, and northern Texas and western Texas here for level 2, slight risk there. We've got a small tornado risk as of now. I do think that this is probably going to have a 5% added to it at some point here. Tornado parameters a little bit on the increase this morning. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But overall, once again, kind of like yesterday, we'll have potential for some land spouts and photogenic tornadoes out there. So just be mindful if you're in and about and you get a warning today, just know where to go get to your safe place. Wind threat at 5% and hail threat is at 5 and 15%. And we do have a hatched region here once again for northeast Texas or northwestern Texas panhandle here into western Oklahoma and southern Kansas for hail up to 2.5 to maybe 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter in terms of hail. So we'll have to keep you guys updated on that. If we need, like I said, to cover today, we'll get on and cover. Outside of that, though, a huge general thunderstorm risk here, and this is going to allow for just convection all over the board here. We've got a lot of daytime heated instability that's going to be on the rise for today. We'll see showers and thunderstorms ongoing across majority of the eastern half of the United States. So just be out there, be mindful. If you get lightning or any of that, go indoors. Don't be outside during that. Don't get struck by lightning. Probably not a good thing to do that. So we get to tomorrow's severe weather threat, and again, a huge general thunderstorm risk here with a small marginal risk for severe weather for tomorrow. Tomorrow and Saturday look to be the lower end days for severe weather out of this whole next 5 to 7 day sequence. So tomorrow, marginal wind, marginal hail, maybe a isolated tornado. I don't see this being too much of a tornado day tomorrow. Outside of that, I wouldn't be shocked to see a marginal risk for severe weather somewhere in the Ohio Valley. We're going to have a little bit of some instability and maybe a organized severe weather threat that could get going there, a low end isolated threat. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. We've got the threat for wind and hail, 5% on both of those risk zones for tomorrow and less than 2% tornado risk. We get into the day 3 outlook, and once again, a small marginal risk for severe weather on Saturday. I would expect this to probably get increased and moved up a little bit here further to the north here, or at least expanded to the north here, given some of the ensembles and some of the guidance that we're getting so far and some of the short range models, potentially showing some severe weather up here on Saturday. We'll see if that does happen, but Saturday looks to be the lowest day of the week as of right now here, with a small marginal for eastern portions of New Mexico and western Texas as the threat for wind and hail, and maybe a brief tornado will be on the table. I will go ahead and talk to you guys about the day 4 through day 8 outlook here. Things are going to get real interesting. We do not have a Sunday risk zone yet. I do think at some point we will have either a marginal or slight risk that gets introduced at some point here soon on Sunday. That'll probably be maybe tonight on the day 3 outlook. We'll get a marginal up there. But the reason why Sunday isn't that big of a deal right now is because we're going to have a capping inversion. We're going to have a strong negatively tilted trough off to the west here. So kind of imagine that coming in. Strong shortwave with elongated troughing with southwesterly flowing moisture and a decent amount of shear coming in. But the capping inversion is going to help really keep Sunday's event at minimal. So if things change, they may issue a risk zone on that on Sunday. But really the main problem is going to be on Monday. I mentioned to you guys yesterday, possibility of an upgrade. We're now having a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk here for pretty much all of Iowa, northwestern northeastern Missouri, northeastern portions of Kansas, eastern Nebraska, western Minnesota, and southeastern and southern portions of Minnesota. And it's very rare that we get a day 5 enhanced risk this far to the north. You got to have a lot of confidence to issue something on the northern mode like that. And we're going to actually have the potential for 2 areas of severe weather here. We've got another area that goes down here to Texas, the Texas-Oklahoma line up into Oklahoma City and into eastern Kansas here. This could also get upgraded to enhanced over time. There's going to be a capping inversion. Again, that's a temperature inversion aloft in the atmosphere that really prohibits storms from strengthening and ecotop wise growing in size. That's when your storms basically, your ecotops increase to allow for significant updrafts, tornadoes, all of that, etc. So we're gonna have to watch that down here and see. We're gonna have 2 surface lows. We'll have one to the north here, which is gonna be our dominant tornado potential here. I do think a tornado outbreak is on the table for Monday here. I even think a moderate risk could be on the table somewhere in Iowa if conditions continue to increase. We'll have to wait for mesoscale features to get a little bit more closer to kind of understand that, but it does look like a full-fledged severe weather outbreak is going to be existing on Monday here from the Midwest down to the central and southern plains here. And then we get to the day 7 outlook or the day 6 outlook here, and we do have once again another slight risk for severe weather on Tuesday here. This is going to continue. It's the same system going to continue east, Texas all the way up into Oklahoma, back up into Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana. We're going to have to watch for maybe even an elevated to a numerous widespread damaging wind and hail threat up here with a conditional tornado risk probably at play as well. Probably have a couple tornadoes that we're going to have to watch up here near the low, near Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan per se. So be mindful of that, guys. We've got a rough stretch of severe weather to go here, especially on Monday and Tuesday. We'll be in live coverage mode on Monday and Tuesday for both of those events. We'll be leading you guys up to that events, doing live updates every single day, as always, each evening. We don't have a day 8 or a day 7 outlook yet, but I do think that we'll get to that potentially here soon as well. There'll be another little shortwave trough that could bring us some low and severe weather down here into the southeast and lower Ohio Valley, Missouri, Arkansas area. Again, we'll talk about that here again in just a second. Now, I do want to mention, this is what we call the CSU models here. This is the Colorado State University's AI learning model. Kind of gives us its own risk zone, and it's been very, very accurate this year, and it was accurate last year. And I want to show you guys here, the left side or the right side of your screen here is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook with that enhanced risk. But look at this, guys, on the left side of your screen. CSU already has a hatched, enhanced, and a moderate risk here, and they've almost got this getting closer to medium range, almost high range for tornado potential here. So we're going to have to watch here, but CSU very confident in a potential tornado outbreak across Iowa, across the mid-plains here, the southern or the northern Midwest, the upper plains here. So we're going to have to watch this very, very closely here and see how this correlates. But you guys can see here, that's our high ceiling as of right now. Is going to be a regional to widespread tornado outbreak across the Midwest on next Monday. So if you're in Iowa, if you're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, northern Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, you guys got to be weather aware next Monday. It could be a very significant day in terms of severe weather. We're going to have to watch that very, very closely in terms of that. Now, I do want to mention as well, this is going to be an idea of what we're going to see on the radar for the next couple of days. You guys can see that MCS, it's in progress this morning here, moving through the Oklahoma, Texas area. This is going to continue to work its way east and potentially re-intensify with some thunderstorm convection this afternoon here. So we're going to have to watch maybe for an upgraded slight risk down here towards central Texas, eastern Texas here for some wind and some hail. Other than that, though, our main event really won't get going until after sunset to this evening here, where we'll have supercells firing off from southern portions of Kansas back down here into Texas and Oklahoma. A conditional potential 5% tornado risk may be added here with this. We could see some vigorous supercells producing some photogenic tornadoes, some damaging winds, some large hail, and then after we get closer to midnight, that falls apart, and then we get back into this again tomorrow, where we'll have maybe a marginal risk added to maybe Oklahoma, southern Kansas here with some conditional storms firing off here, but most of that won't get going until the marginal risk zone up here, where we could see late evening initiation on Friday night there, where we could see showers and thunderstorms, maybe a couple supercells firing off with some large hail, damaging winds, and a brief spin up tornado, and then we get into Saturday and things get a little bit more uncertain. We'll have to see what happens on Saturday. Now, I do want to mention as well, the instability for the next 72 hours here also going to be there as well. We could have some significant instability today and tomorrow, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,500 joules per kilogram. That's very decent cape. And then we get to tomorrow, and you guys can see this little surface low that's trying to develop here. You can see a dry line set up back down here into Texas. This looks to be just a New Mexico, Texas event, and that's where that marginal risk is at, where that dry line fires off at. We'll have to watch for the threat for some significant potential hail up there. So just be mindful of that. Decent instability values. We'll have some decent tornado parameters as well. Just looking at our dew points going into today and tomorrow as well. We'll have a sharp dry line that sets up today, back up here into Texas. Not a sharp dry line, but a pretty decent dry line that sets up from Kansas into Oklahoma and down into Texas today. And then tomorrow we'll have a little bit of a sharper dry line that sets up. You can see, like I said, that low pressure system curled up in there with a little bit of a bulging dry line here, giving us the threat for some severe weather today, tomorrow, and into Saturday. We'll do the same thing again before we start to see moisture return up into the high plains, the Midwest, going into the setup for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday's event. Now, like I said, guys, significant severe weather on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to go ahead and talk in depth on why that's going to happen here. We can see across the United States here, we've got zonal flow once again giving us the threat for just general thunderstorms. And then, like I said, that severe weather threat here across the plains where we have that dry line setup happening where our moisture and our dew points meet our dry conditions along the Rockies there. As we go into Friday and Saturday here, you're going to see that troughing emerge. This is our significant trough that's going to help set up the severe weather threat for Monday. You can see on Monday here, we have a surface low to the north, surface low down here to the south here. We're going to have two different areas to watch, potentially the northern mode being our major tornado player here, where we can see maybe some long track tornadoes potentially across Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and eastern Kansas and Nebraska. Southern mode capped out. We're going to have to watch here for Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas, the southern mode here. If that capping inversion holds, we may not see much of anything, but if that capping inversion does not hold and we start to see, as we get closer to this event, that there is going to be vigorous thunderstorm convection, we might get an upgraded enhanced risk, maybe even something higher than that if things look a little bit more significant. So we're going to have to watch out for that. As we go into Tuesday here, that troughing goes east. You can see there where the major bulk and jet stream is going to be at, going across the Ohio Valley here in the Midwest and down into the southern plains again on Tuesday. And then we're going to have to watch on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday here for a little trough that's going to try and develop in the southern plains, maybe for some more severe weather down into like Arkansas, southern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and then eventually this could go southeast here as we go into Thursday and Friday before that system exits. And then after that, things get a little bit of uncertain. It looks like we're going to start to see an omega block pattern set up. This is a ridge, gives us basically quiet conditions, very warm conditions up and around the plains here. We'll see a cooler potential setup going into the first and second week of May for the East Coast, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Ohio Valley, and the East, Northeast coastlines there for some troughing off to the east and troughing off to the west. So a little bit uncertain. We'll talk more about this next week when we get closer to this happening. Just a lot of uncertainty on what's going to happen with the overall convection there with that. I will mention, we'll talk more in depth tomorrow on dew points, instability, all of that shear for tomorrow, for Monday and Tuesday. Just want to get one more day closer to that event happening before I go more and more in detail with that with you guys. Just the confidence thing for me and I guess for SVC as well. But showers and storms across the board here through Saturday. You can see Sunday here, we start to see that surface low develop here. Storms are organizing here, and we're actually starting to see Monday's event starting to kind of ramp up down here into Oklahoma and Kansas and Northeast Texas. Then most of that up here near our low ongoing. So that's where we're going to be watching out for Monday's event. And then you can also see as well going into Tuesday, we'll see a cold front extending where showers and storms across the Ohio Valley, some severe weather possible as well. And then after that, looking at Wednesday and Thursday here down into the deep south, the southern plains for Thursday and Friday. And then after that, like I say, things get a little bit uncertainty, but we might even potentially, guys, don't quote me on this yet, see some back end snowfall with this troughing coming in for the first week of May up in the Northeast. So we're going to have to watch that. But other than that, guys, we will keep you guys updated on the situation here. We'll have a live stream later on tonight. Be safe, guys. Be weather aware. If you're getting severe weather today, have a way to get alerts on your phones. Know where to go when you get tornado warnings. And we will see you guys in the next one. Be safe, y'all.